John Reinman wrote for The Tonight Show, Late Night with Jimmy Fallon. He even wrote for WWE's Monday Night Raw. What do you mean he wrote for Raw? You mean that's not real?
It's real to me.
The garden's always greener. If history hangs on one moment in time, could one moment of the 80s Celtics change everything?
Change it all.
Hey, John, you're a twisted dude, and I love having you on.
Thank you very much. Hey, since I'm on the show, does that make me mayor? Am I mayor now?
Right.
Yes, I came. I showed up.
Let me tell you something, John. I'll make you mayor right now.
The intro means that John is now the mayor.
You will find being mayor of Chicago is not nearly as funny.
Yeah, well, is it a daily still? That seems to be always the trend.
That's exactly right. All right, if we go with a computer simulation, he tried to say, of everything from Forrest Gump to the Kennedy assassination, maybe a bit of Curb rolled in there, Curb Your Enthusiasm, to the NBA. This is the Richard Simmons salad shooter of ideas, and you've put it into a narrative that's not only readable, it's entertaining.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, the premise is basically back during lockdown, I was one of many people who was like, well, I guess I'll get a PlayStation 5 because we were going to be inside for a while. And I kind of got bored with it and decided I want to do something to write. Like, I want something I can write about. And so I got the basketball game and simulated from 1986 on. And if you're an NBA fan and you know your Celtics stuff a little bit, the Celtics in 1986 drafted a player named Len Bias.
Yep.
And he was supposed to be Michael Jordan's rival. And that was supposed to be the big deal. And sadly, we lost Len 2 days after he was drafted.
He was celebrating the draft and partying with some people. Mm-hmm. And he did coke and a particular strain that was particularly dangerous, and he died.
It's awful.
Yeah, it was such a tragedy, and it's one of my first memories of basketball or anything. It was like I was 3 years old, and I just remember my parents talking about it. And, as a millennial fan, he probably would have been our guy. And instead, we all kind of just watched you guys have fun with Michael and Scotty.
Yep.
And always kind of wondered what if, because that would have been kind of the big rivalry. And so I decided to kind of simulate it and play it a little bit, mostly simulate it, and see what happened from 86 on and how the league would have changed. And as video games do, things got a little wonky at times, and it got a little strange. And then when I was all done, I said, well, what do I do with this? Like, I could talk to people about it or whatever, but what's the story? And then that kind of clicked. And I said, well, what is the story? If I looked at everything that happened, what could I write a story around this? Could I write like an alternate history, not just for basketball, but for 80s and 90s pop culture? Like everything kind of changes a little bit. And so that's the book. And that's sort of where the humor comes from. Is there's a character based on Len Bias who, comes in 86 and he's on the Celtics. And it's everything from OJ to Tupac to Seinfeld to WWE to everything gets a little bit of a rub in this story. And it's a really fun read. And it's out in June. It's Alzheimer's Awareness Month in honor of my dad. And I just want to get guys to read. Reading's good for you, man.
It is healthy.
I like it.
It's good for you and it's healthy.
I love the what if part of it, too, because if you grew up being, 80s and 90s and we were here and we know the pop culture, like you're in, this time of your life. And I, in the 90s, believe me, I was out and running around and all the what ifs that would have taken a turn to the left or to the right.
And it's not funny, but if you see a car accident or you're nearly in a car accident, you think 1 second before, maybe 5 seconds before or after, things change.
That's right.
So you put that stamp on history that Bill Clinton doesn't meet Monica.
That's right.
Or
she doesn't get that internship.
Or doesn't have a cigar with Monica.
Michael Jordan misses all those 3-point shots.
Yeah, you can just go on and on and on. Bill Buckner makes the play.
That's actually, I will say that's one of the storylines. I won't say if he makes the play or not, but we do touch on Bill Buckner right from the start where, what happens if he's off the hook and, maybe it's someone else. So, so it's all that stuff. And it was fun to just go through and look and see, what was happening this year, what happened this month. If a guy got traded to a certain team, was there something going on in that city that was memorable or fun or whatever? And could he get involved? And so, it's just a fun writing prompt. And, like I said, it takes you back. It's like Jane, like you were saying, it's a way to not only relive some fun, lighthearted times from your life, but see if they change, make it different,
And then you could play it into what happened in your life then and do the what if.
Well, and here's the thing. I hate to break it to you. The book's good enough. You're going to have to do more, dude.
I know.
You're going to have to do more. You're going to have to continue to warp your brain and twist it into a pretzel so you can come up with more of these inverted, extroverted storylines that kind of play themselves out. So let me ask you a question. Oh, by the way, the garden's always greener, double reference there, obviously, but the references the garden, the green of Boston.
We say that. Oh, the garden's always greener.
Yeah, and the garden's always greener, Boston
right.
Garden. John, I'm older than you are. I'm 63, and the first thing I did on the radio was call ECAC hockey from the old Boston Garden.
Oh, wow.
I was in the rafters, because it was a road team, Cornell University, and I was up in the rafters, and I felt something on my foot. And, felt it 3 or 4 different times. I looked down, and I saw, it's the rat running back and forth.
Yeah.
The old garden was a bit of a barn.
It was, the old brick barn. That's what they call it. And as a matter of fact, it wasn't just rats. This is a true story. There was a monkey that was living in the rafters of the Boston Garden.
Yep.
And that's part of the story as well. But for years, that was a rumor. Like when I was a kid, that said, there's like circus animals living up in the rafters. And it was like, get out of here. And then they found one of the monkeys, like when it was being demolished. So this place was, it really was, the older you get on my end and the more you learn about it, because when I was a kid, I was like, what's the big deal? It just seemed like this old kind of drafty building. But then when you hear all the, the horror of it for the visiting teams, like you just described, that rat, probably made off with what it wanted. They were pretty big rats, as I recall. So,
well, and the thing is, why wouldn't you live in a place like that if you're a rat or a monkey? They're not going to clean up all the food.
No.
And you got the whole place to run around, and occasionally you got free tickets to the game, which is a big deal for a monkey. A monkey's not carrying a wallet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that monkey saw, just a litany of amazing performances. She said season tickets to everything, and it's got the organist right there. It can dance whenever it wants. I mean, it's unbelievable.
And the rat isn't tall enough to see her, so the rat would be next to the monkey, and you go, "What happened now?" And then the monkey would tell the rat.
There's your next book, actually.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about that, but you also, these were pretty big rats, so you got to hope they don't eat the monkey. You know what I mean?
That's a great point.
They were pretty big. Yeah,
that's a great point. It's John Reiman. The garden's always greener. It's Alzheimer's Awareness Month, in a tribute to his dad.
Very good.
Please give what you can anytime. But as I always tell people, John, you get 2 or 3 copies of the book, download 2 or 3 more, and spread it to your friends.
Yeah, absolutely. And I should mention, too, that I will be taking from my cut, from my take-home from the book, and I will be donating some of that to the Alzheimer's Association, just because, I wrote this thing, and I was like, if I'm going to make fun of men who are 6'8", 6'9", and could get really upset, I might as well go down for a good cause. And so that's sort of what I'm doing. And I should add too that the one person that people who've read it have said, man, he could be really upset, is Michael Jordan.
Oh yeah.
But Michael, if you're listening, it's not me, man. It's the computer. I was rooting for you. I'm a fan in real life. I was a giant Bulls fan in the 90s. They were my surrogate team while the Celtics were trotting out the Washington Generals for a few years. But, it's just, that's one of those things where we all talk about, it would have been so great if such and such did such and such. It's like, yeah, but man, there's only one championship. There's only one basketball. And so, so for the Chicago listeners, if you want a tongue-in-cheek look at a world where Michael Jordan just struggles every year to try to win. Over time, please.
I'm telling you right now, Michael.
We can't take it.
Michael, whether he's listening now or not, will hear about this book. He'll get a hold of it, and John Ryman will be the thing that pisses him off for years. He'll use it for inspiration.
Well, the worst part for him is that the Bulls, I'm not going to spoil it, but they make out okay.
Yeah, they do.
The Bulls do well in this story.
Having lived through it here and watched it live, that was one of the more highly entertaining stretches and a very highly entertaining book. So get it. The garden's always greener. John, hang on. I got to ask you something off the air. Don't hang up yet. It's John Reiman. Get it. Get the book and follow you on social where?
Go to Instagram. I'm at Reinemania, Reinemania.
Great to have you on. I hope we do it again, but stand by 1 second.
Yeah, it's too bad he couldn't have covered the Steve Bartman incident, but that happened in the early 2000s, right? What if he didn't interfere?
What if Bartman becomes president? What?